flirting with handsome men. Yajudai. The screams were like those of a slaughtered pig, making 98 bends and making the birds on the treetops flap their wings and fly away. A bang sound. Su Jiwer fell to the ground hard. Her head was buzzing, and it took a long time to come back to her senses. Looking at the cliff that was no lower than 30 stories high, Su Jiwer was frightened. Damn it, I'm not dead in this way. Isn't this too fantasy? He traveled across time inexplicably and still couldn't figure out what was going on, so he was chased by a group of vicious killers. In order to survive, she had no choice but to run away like crazy, but accidentally fell into the abyss. Was it a dream that she didn't even die? Just when Su Jiwer felt incredible, she gradually realized that something was wrong. I only felt that my body was rising and falling, and it was extremely hot. Confused, Su Jiwer looked down subconsciously. When she saw the stunningly beautiful man pressed beneath her like a flesh pad, Su Jiwer's heart was shocked, and her eyes were full of surprise. Wow. Okay, what a handsome man. The man wore a dark robe, which deeply outlined his tall and muscular figure. Her long hair is like a waterfall flowing down her body. The eyebrows are slanted, the nose is as sharp as a knife, and the thin lips are sensual. Zilu? The more he looked at it, the more Su Jiwer's heart pounded and her saliva flowed. You know, she had been single for 22 years and had never even touched a boy's hand. Now, she unexpectedly met such a stunningly beautiful man. Could it be that God finally heard her pious wish for many years and gave her a stunningly handsome man? Right! That must be it. In this case, she is welcome. In a dream, anyway. Seeing the stunningly beautiful man who was unconscious beneath him, Su Jiwer immediately stretched out his sinful little hand. Reason told Su Jiwer to be reserved. However, instinct violently rapes reason. He stretched out his little hand and ripped the man's clothes off his chest. Seeing the man's sensual and charming figure, Su Jiwer's eyes lit up. Wow, what a great figure. The legendary standard 8-pack abs have clear texture and seem to exude endless power under the sunlight. The snow-white skin can be broken by a blow, but I wonder how it feels to the touch. Action is worse than excitement. Su Jiwer stretched out her little hand and landed directly on the man's strong chest muscles that were constantly tempting her. So strong, so elastic, Su Jiwer was having fun, but she never noticed that the unconscious man on the ground suddenly opened his eyes. Staring at the woman who was lying on top of him, doing whatever she wanted, Yi Xuanma's eyes narrowed, with cold and murderous intent bursting out of his eyes. Presumptuous. The cold voice froze my heart. On the way back to the court, the master noticed that the fire poison was about to activate on his body. In order to prevent himself from losing his mind and hurting innocent people, he had to find this deserted mountain and wilderness and plan to wait until the fire poison was over before leaving. Unexpectedly, when he got here, he would be hit hard by this person who fell from the sky. When he woke up, he saw that the woman who knocked him unconscious was doing whatever she wanted on him. Seeing this, Yi Xuanma was angry. Everyone knows that the fourth prince of the Beichen Empire is aloof, ascetic, and not close to women. Now, to be treated so lightly by a woman who appears out of nowhere is simply a shame and a huge humiliation. If looks could kill, Su Jiwer would have been Ling Qi long ago. Oh my god, you scared me. Looking at the man's sinister gaze, Su Jiwer was caught off guard and trembled with fright. Wink, wink. Can the man in the dream still open his eyes and talk to her? This is too true. In the dream, Su Jiwer looked a little embarrassed as she was caught red-handed because she was a slut. She was about to introduce herself. But she saw the man's sensual and attractive thin lips slightly opened. Roll. The bone-cold voice makes people shudder. Yi Xuanma has always been decisive and decisive in killing. In the past, he would have slapped this woman away without saying a word. Helpless, he is now suffering from fire poison and cannot move. Su Jier also saw this. Looking at the man with a sinister expression and an imposing manner, Su Jier raised her beautiful eyebrows slightly. Because this man had completely aroused her rebellious spirit. Shui Lingling's eyes turned, and a cunning light flickered in her eyes. Oh, get out? You mean let me get out this way? Or that way? While Su Jier pretended to be puzzled, her graceful little body began to roll around in Yi Xuanma's arms. The woman's soft body and skin as thick as gel instantly made Yi Xuanma's face shudder. This is the most shameless woman he has ever seen. The heat of the fire goo, coupled with the unfamiliar restlessness, suddenly came to my heart. Seeing the man's sinister gaze falling on her, Su Jier smiled sweetly. The big, watery eyes were full of smiles and cunning, like a proud little fox. Even a dream could make her fall off a cliff and scare her to death. She would be really sorry for herself if she didn't have some fun in time. The most important thing is that the man in the dream is so good-looking. The charming and handsome face like a monster, the handsome eyebrows and deep eyes are really eye-catching. Su Jier stretched out her slender hand and deliberately followed the man's perfect eyebrows and landed on the man's sensual thin lips. I wonder, what does it feel like to kiss these lips? Su Jier murmured to himself, but those words reached Yi Xuanma's ears word for word. Yi Xuanma was shocked when he heard this. How dare you? When Yi Xuanma spoke, humiliation and anger quickly surged into his heart, making this cowardly woman want to cut her heart into pieces with 1,000 knives. However, before Yi Xuanma could think about anything else, the woman's charming face suddenly enlarged in his sight. A wisp of dark fragrance hits the tip of the nose, refreshing the heart and mind. Immediately afterwards, his lips softened. The woman on his body was telling him with her actions that she really dared. In an instant, Yi Xuanma's body stiffened and his pupils tightened. Obviously, he should be humiliated and angry and cut this woman who kissed him forcefully into pieces. However, this woman's kiss was so damn sweet. Soft lips are so wonderful. Just like the sweetness of the nectar of poplar branches, people can taste the marrow and know the taste. Humiliation, shock, and throbbing kept intertwining in his chest, making Yi Xuanma's mind go blank for an instant. However, the next moment, Yi Xuanma frowned again. The familiar heat of the fire goo surged into my heart again, like a burning fire. The man's dark pupils seemed to be condensed by millions of blood, and instantly turned scarlet. Su Jier's heart trembled as the awe-inspiring murderous intent struck him. Raise your head slightly. What caught my eye was the man's scarlet eyes, which were as red as Shura from hell. That death gaze made Su Jier's scalp numb. What a scary look. Moreover, the man's body suddenly became extremely hot, and sitting on it even made his, but very hot. 002 transform into a fox. Realizing that the danger was coming, Su Jier was frightened and planned to run away. However, the man who had always been passive now became active. There seemed to be a raging fire burning crazily in his body, and Yi Xuanma knew that his fire goo was acting up. My vision began to blur, and I began to lose my mind. However, just when Yi Xuanma was in pain, he only felt a cold feeling on his chest. Such a cold touch made Yi Xuanma feel like a thirsty person in the desert had seen the source of water, and just wanted to hold on tightly and not let go. As a result, Yi Xuanma stretched out his arms and immediately hugged something that made him extremely comfortable. The soft touch and cold feeling made Yi Xuanma sigh in his heart. However, a certain little woman who was held tightly in Yi Xuanma's arms like a pillow was not happy anymore. Hey, let go. It's getting hot. Let go. The scalding heat like lava continued to pass from the man's body, almost melting her. Su Jiwer didn't understand how such a good person could become so hot. However, no matter how hard Su Jiwer struggled, the man's hands were like a pair of iron pliers, holding her tightly. The scorching temperature continued to rise, and Su Jiwer's consciousness began to blur. Before I knew it, I fell asleep in the man's arms. Little did he know that after he fell asleep, something incredible happened. A gentle white light suddenly appeared and surrounded Su Jiwer's petite and exquisite body. In just a moment, the white light disappeared. The stunning woman who was hugged tightly by the man has disappeared, and in her place is a snow-white, extremely beautiful little fox. Su Jiwer didn't know how long she had been asleep. The burning sensation had disappeared. The place she was lying on was more comfortable than the Simmons bed. Well, I had a really comfortable sleep this time. Su Jiwer stretched his body and looked at the scorching sun above him, subconsciously stretched out his hand to cover it. However, what caught the eye was not the slender hands that a woman should have, but a furry little paw. Tiny, tiny paws. Blinking, Su Jiwer was stunned. Then, as if he thought of something, he sat up with his body shaking. In front of him is a crystal clear lake. Su Jiwer immediately looked down. What catches the eye is a fluffy and cute little fox. The furry little body only weighs 2 or 3 pounds. The snow-white hair and 9 fluffy tails sway like a large floor mop, which is really eye-catching. The big black eyes are clear and innocent, like a pair of beautiful black gems, watery and lovable. The most special thing is the tuft of fiery red hair between the little fox's eyebrows. Like snowdrops blooming in the snow, it sets off the cute little fox, adding a bit of nobility. Seeing the cute and beautiful little fox reflected on the lake, Su Jiwer was stunned. Oh my god, I am not a human being? How come I turned into a little fox when I woke up? My heart was shocked, as if struck by lightning. He lowered his head again and looked at the stunningly beautiful man who was still being treated as a meat pad by him. Turn out to be, she is not dreaming. She really flirted with the guy. I remember that when I was teasing this man, I was still a woman. I never thought that after the teasing was over, I turned into a fox. So, is she a human now? Is it a demon? Look up to, or she-male? Ah, I'm not a she-male. With a loud sigh, Su Jiwer frowned again. If I wasn't a human being, why would I turn into a fox inexplicably? Could it be that my turning into a fox has something to do with the man beneath me? With his mind spinning rapidly, Su Jiwer touched his furry chin with a paw and made a conclusion. Just now, I turned into a fox because I kissed this man. If so, if I kiss him back, will I turn into a human again? Just do it. Su Jiwer immediately leaned down and kissed the man's sensual thin lips. The soft touch made Su Jiwer forget her purpose for a moment, and just wanted to taste this thin lips that let her taste the essence. Just when Su Jiwer was intoxicated by the kiss, the man on the ground suddenly opened a pair of cold black eyes. Feeling the numb touch on his lips, Yi Xuanma felt angry in his heart. This damn shameless woman is molesting him again. With his big hand tightened, Yi Xuanma's power returned, and almost without thinking, he planned to slap away the woman who was doing whatever he wanted with him. However, when Yi Xuanma took a closer look, he saw an incredibly beautiful little fox. Petite and exquisite, white and cute. A pair of big black eyes, as if they could talk, making people's hearts move when they look at them. Yi Xuanma's heart melted just looking at it. The anger in his eyes disappeared in an instant, replaced by tenderness and pampering that Yi Xuanma himself didn't even know. No one knows that he has been very fond of these furry little guys since he was a child. Su Jiwer, who was enjoying the marrow and kissing the man, gradually realized something was wrong. It always felt like a burning gaze was looking at her. Confused, Su Jiwer couldn't help but look up slightly. What caught my eye was the man's eyes, as deep as a pool and as thick as ink. Seeing this, Su Jiuer's head went bang and her pupils tightened. You, when did you wake up? Sky. This man actually woke up? Recalling that she kissed this man before, he was so angry that he wanted to kill her. Looking at the man's raised hand again, it was obvious that the man had resumed action and was about to slap her away with a palm. Su Jiuer was startled and immediately took advantage of the 36 strategy. However, the next moment, the man grabbed hold of his destiny by the back of his neck. Gently picking up the little fox who was about to run away, Yi Xuanma slowly sat up. The beautiful sword eyebrows were raised slightly. Little fox, you want to run away after kissing me? The man spoke. His deep and mellow voice was slow and charming. Su Jiuer felt embarrassed when he heard this. Look at what this man said, as if she was a scumbag who would be irresponsible after playing with him. Tut. I complained in my heart. The most important thing is that it feels very uncomfortable to be carried like this. For a moment, Su Jiuer became angry. Let me go. Let me go. However, no matter how she twisted her body and kicked her feet, it was to no avail. Looking at Su Jiuer's angry eyes, Yi Xuanma only felt funny. Although he couldn't understand the little fox's words, Yi Xuanma could easily understand the little fox's meaning from its angry actions. Oh, if you dare to move again, I will make you into a spicy foxhead. A gentle word, but it carries a majesty that cannot be ignored. 003 recognized the master. For a moment, Su Jiuer didn't dare to move. It is said that those who know the current affairs are heroes. Nowadays, she is just a little fox. She can be killed or chopped into pieces, but no matter what she says. Thinking about it, Su Jiuer really wanted to cry. Is this the difference between humans and animals? Just when Su Jiuer was about to cry, but had no tears left, Yi Xuanma raised his eyebrows as he looked at the little fox who didn't dare to move for a moment because of his words. This little fox can actually understand human speech? Just when Yi Xuanma was surprised, not far away, two vigorous figures were running toward them at lightning speed. Kneeling on one knee, Phantom and Fleeting Nian both had worried, anxious, and guilty expressions on their faces. My lord, are you okay? It's all my fault that my subordinates are useless. I still can't find the whereabouts of Gu King's father and daughter. I can't help the prince to remove the fire poison. Lu Nian spoke with guilt on his face. As the prince's right-hand men, they could only watch their prince's fire poison attack, and they were powerless to do anything. The imperial doctor had previously asserted that if the prince's fire poison got into his heart, it would be hard for even the gods to save him. In response to the guilt and worry of the two of them, Yi Xuanma just pursed his thin lips. He had long ignored his own life and death. Now, he was only interested in the little fox he was carrying. The two of them, Phantom Fleeting Nian, also noticed Su Jiuer's existence. Looking at the little fox being held in the palm of their own prince's hand, both Phantom and Fleeting Nian were stunned. Your Majesty, where did this little fox come from? Lu Nian was surprised. You know, their prince has always had a serious mysophobia, so why is he carrying a little fox on his hand now? The Phantom on the side stared at the 9 fluffy tails of the little fox. My lord, is this one in your hand not the 9-tailed snow fox that has long been extinct in the world? 9-tailed snow fox. Listening to Phantom's words, Yi Xuanma's face was slightly stunned. Reporting to the prince, the 9-tailed snow fox is an ancient mythical beast, very powerful. No matter how ferocious the beast is, it will suffer under its hands. Its claws can cut iron as fast as mud, and its teeth are highly poisonous. The most powerful thing is that it is good at spraying cold air. Anyone injured by its cold air can freeze into popsicles in an instant. Listening to Phantom's introduction to herself, Su Jiuer was stunned for a moment. Is her current status so awesome? Just when Su Jiuer was surprised, Lu Nian on the side looked at the little fox being held in the palm of his own prince's hand and did not dare to move. He seemed to have thought of something and felt happy. Your Majesty, this nine-tailed snow fox is so docile in front of you. It must have recognized its master. Recognize the master? Hearing Lu Nian's words, Yi Xuanma's deep eyes narrowed slightly. Little fox, do you recognize this king as your master? Yi Xuanma spoke, a smile twinkling in his eyes. Admit your sister. Of course, Su Jiu'er only dared to roar in his heart. Su Jiu'er is not a fool. How could he not see his situation clearly? I traveled through time inexplicably, and I still can't figure out whether I am a human or a demon. Being held in the hands of this untouchable man again, if she doesn't obey him, I'm afraid she will turn into a spicy fox head in the next moment. Even if she had a chance to escape, she would starve to death in 2 days without any survival skills in the wild. So now, the only thing she can do is to hug this man's golden thigh. After some weighing, Su Jiu'er's dark eyes rolled. As soon as the little paws were closed, the eyes that fell on Yi Xuanma were as happy, excited, and worshipful as a fan seeing an idol. Yeah, handsome boy. Please take care of me. The little fox was born cute, but now every move he makes is full of fawning, excitement, pleading, and admiration, making people's hearts melt just looking at him. When Yi Xuanma saw this, his heart couldn't help but move. Since you recognize me as your master, then from now on, you should stay with me obediently. Yi Xuanma spoke calmly, but his tone was much softer than before. When Su Jiu'er heard this, she couldn't help but be stunned. The contrast between the man in front of me is too great, right? Before, when she was a human, this man was extremely cruel to her. Unexpectedly, now that she has transformed into a little fox, this man has become gentle towards her. Could it be that this man has any special hobbies? While Su Jiu'er was questioning and probing, Yi Xuanma just kept silent and gently held the little fox in his arms. I just feel that this little fox in my arms is soft, furry, and has a cool feeling, which makes people unable to put it down. In the eyes of the world, he is decisive and ruthless, but no one knows that, in fact, he has no resistance to this furry little guy. So just now, that damn woman and this little fox kissed him at the same time. He hated the former, but he was filled with joy for the latter. Damn woman. That's right. How could he forget that damn woman? Thinking of this, Yi Xuanma's face darkened. You guys, quickly send someone to find a woman for me. Woman. Looking at their own prince, who had a gentle look in his eyes one moment, his face suddenly changed the next moment, and the two of them were stunned. So good. Where did the woman come from? Seeing my prince again, his clothes are disheveled, and his originally thin lips are also a little red and swollen. Could it be that before they arrived here, their prince was... Damn it! This... Compared to the shocked phantom Liu Nian, Yi Xian's dark eyes rolled with ink. That damn woman. No matter how deep he digs, he must find her. Compared to Yi Xuanma, who looked gloomy and livid, Su Jiu'er, who was held in Yi Xuanma's arms, couldn't help but tremble hard. What to do? She seems to have offended someone she shouldn't have. The 4 kingdoms stand together. Beichen, Huachao, Nanman, and Longtian are all evenly matched and on par with each other. It is said that she is now in the Beichen Empire, a dynasty that has no history. It is said that the 4 princes of the Beichen Empire were highly skilled in martial arts, strategizing, and decisive in killing, and were known as the Living Yama. It is said that the 4th prince of the Beichen Empire has a stunning appearance, but is not a womanizer. The number of women who want to marry him can circle the entire Beichen Empire. It is said. All right. Now, she was nestling in the arms of the 4th prince of the Beichen Empire, happily eating melon seeds. Traveling through time inexplicably, with nowhere to go, and not knowing who she was, Su Jiu'er could only hug this man's golden thigh tightly. After all, they were all princes of the dynasty. Since they thought she had accepted him as his master, she would make peace with it and stay with this man with peace of mind. The most important thing is that she always feels that her incarnation is closely related to this man. Otherwise, when she first came here, she was obviously a woman, but why did she turn into a fox after sleeping with a man?